So let's talk about an interesting idea for crowdfunding. It's this grove of trees right over here. And it goes from a building way down there, from this dirt road over to another dirt road over there. And then there's a little dirt road in here, goes around there into here. And the idea is to sculpt a park, to sculpt a grove of trees that humans can use in a comfortable way with a lot of biodiversity within it, mixed use, and have it be really amazing. Now, why would someone fund that? Well, they're not necessarily invited to come here. I don't want it to be a public park. But if it's well documented what this experiment is all about, then it could be that a lot of people around the world would give a tiny little bit to see how this thing shapes and how that could then be done in other places. I'll give you a brief history on it. This all used to be pine trees, and I have video of that. It didn't have any undergrowth at all because the pine needles would fall down and get rid of any undergrowth, which then is not very biologically diverse. It was a fine looking pine grove there. There's nothing wrong with it, but I chopped all those down. I did it on purpose. And it's not bad to chop down trees. You just got to know what you're doing and why. And as you can see, it is now full of trees again. I did not plant those trees. Trees plant themselves. So it's got a greater mix than it had before. Rather than just being pines, it now has capulines. There's one right there. It has a lot more madrones in it because the madrones were getting crowded out by the pines. The pines were crowding out everything. You have a bunch of oaks, black oaks, white oaks, and a lot of pines, which a number of years ago, we came in and we topped off a lot of them. Down there more so than over here. Here you see there's still some tall ones here. And, you know, whatever. There was one that got hit by lightning over there. That one died, eventually fell down. Took years to fall down. But until then, it was good woodpecker habitat, so that's cool. So but the idea, the vision is a relatively short forest. This little dirt road in here will block off, and that will be used by people who are inside of this grove using it. I'll probably put a cedar hedge around the entire thing. That's for a visual block and also to block lower wind and just to kind of define the space. We don't have to, like this, we don't have to cut every single big tree. Like this black oak, we could let keep getting bigger. Not going to hurt anything. It's not going to fall on anybody. That's one risk that exists with any forest is if you're going to use it for human use, you don't want a tree falling on you, right? Like I got two big pine trees way over there. This is a different area, whole different grove. I got 50 groves I'm looking at here that I got to make designs for all of them. In some cases, just leave them alone. But those big pines over there are a big risk of just falling down this direction in a big storm. And that would be known as not a good thing if you were camped under it or you had your little van lifer RV parked under there. There used to be a volleyball court over there. Anyway, it's been really fun watching how this has grown. But I guess I want to document and change it and document what effect that has had. Because there are some people in the world in certain climate zones, which you should know your Köppen climate zone, that's Koppen. You should know what that is. And understand then how you're going to plant food forest farms in your climate zone. It's really critical for the survival of your civilization. Now in this case, I don't have the money to even, because I have like a chainsaw on a pole, and we already went through and topped them all off. I would like to top it off again. I don't have the money for the labor. I don't have the time to do this. I can drop the visions of it for free. I can describe them, in videos, But I'm not going to be doing this much work. It's a huge amount of work. And like I said, I got like 50 other groves I need to be thinking about for what they're for. And even the evolution of this park, I'm not totally clear on how you would use it. I can imagine that you could have a certain number of chickens in there. If I was to wall it in, that would be better. A hedge isn't good enough for chickens. They'll get killed. Walling it in would be an extreme choice. Oh my gosh, that's even hard to think about. It's just so antithetical to what I generally want to do with a space. But it could be done. Certainly this dirt road here could have a big solid looking gate on either side, and you could have a vehicle parked in the middle of it that acted as a building, or you could build a building, but I'd rather not block it because it may be really useful to have a vehicle access and have everything else be trail entryways. If you did build a wall around it, then you could have rabbits and chickens inside, and that would be really cool. For now, the actual next steps, like right now, would be to cut some of the lower branches so that you can even walk around in it. Although right after that, I also want to have defined trails to keep people from just trampling everything. So this year I can start to be putting other kinds of plants in there. And you know, like I have medicinal plants over there. They're really cool. They smell nice. It's very easy to put solar panels over there. So you could have like lighting mixed, like outdoor lighting mixed in through the trees. Fairly limited because I also want to put in bird nests and things, and lighting can bother wildlife. So, you know, I mean, there's so many different kinds of how you could use this space, and it's unclear. I mean, and it's unclear where the edges of it would have to be. Like, could I might extend it. There's too many options to think about right now. But it's a weird idea to like crowdfund a forest, crowdfund a grove. And I guess, you know, there's attached groves to this. Do I include those? You know, do I include other uses related to this? Because, you know, you want benches, you could have fire pits, you could have a solar sauna in there. You could just have this amazing private park. And that could be a model for how to do other parks. Like there's some people from a town in a couple states north of here that came down, the government sent them down, and I was consulting with them on how to design their park. And I don't know what got implemented, but we came up with a really cool design for a pretty small urban park. It wasn't a big park. I mean, this is like, just the area I was thinking of is probably 6 times the size of that one. But I could add in other land to it. I mean, I kind of have other plans for other parks, but I mean, like if I blocked off this right here and decided that was part of the park, that would be pretty cool. And that leaves me only with one road entry in and out right here. But I've already got a road there. This would then be a 2-lane road. And usually I want to avoid 2-lane roads because they have more footprint. But in this case, I think that you could do a 2-lane road to get to over there, and then it loops around in a different part. But having a park here that included a ravine that's over there, because I have a way that could work out, would be really cool. That would improve it. I never thought of that in all the years I've thought about this park. And we could let some of it, well, that already has taller trees over there. But we could let some of the trees get taller. I have put bamboo over there. That one it's not going to spread where it is now. A lot of the baby pines that are in here, I think we should just top them off so they don't get too big. And then decide if we can make a canopy of shade, because here you want a lot of shade. and then make spots in there that may have small roofs for getting out of the rain, or tiny huts even. I don't know. I mean, I have this just massive menu of all the possibilities that could exist, you know. Yeah, I can see how. I mean, this could be an enormous. The thing is, I don't like cars very much. Like, cars are annoying. So I want to control where they go. And I want to have cart culture. So it's lighter on the land. And even like chickens and rabbits, if we put them in there, those are lighter on the land than having like cows or even like donkeys or goats. I guess alpacas have really soft feet. And they have two little claws. They have feet like dogs. And so they might be lighter on the land. I'd have to investigate that more. But I'm not imagining a place where there's ruminants within it. It's an exciting spot. And I've thought also about a raised walkway through it. That would be concrete, and it could have a tunnel underneath it. Oh, that should be kept secret. Hard to keep secrets. At least I have a hard time keeping them. But you could have a raised walkway, a 2-level walkway with space on top so that you could also be in the sun as well. That's a different vision for it. I don't know if I would like that. But that walkway could even then connect over to a whole bunch of area over there. Oh my God, this could be an amazing park. Yeah, I'm liking this idea a lot. Anyway, I don't know. It's a weird idea to crowdfund that. I looked at like what are the highest funded crowdfunding efforts, and there's a lot of, cryptocurrencies and games, and one guy was able to fund his books that way, which is pretty cool. He had enough of an audience that he was able to pre-sell his books. Instead of going through a publisher, he just went to a crowdfunding route. Pretty amazing, really. Great idea. And, gadgets and things that mean nothing to me. As I looked at the highest funded projects, none of them caught my eye as being interesting for anything I care about. I don't think we need more crypto in the world. I think our currency should be natural. Land and plants and food, animals, peace of mind, quiet. Yeah, it's a crazy idea about thinking about extending that park, because like this could be part of that park too. And that has big oaks and pines in it still. I didn't cut this part down. And then there's a bunch of area over there that I did cut down, and it's all growing back. And I could have pockets of sunshine. And when we talk about the raised walkways, that's a way for people to get into the sun on days like this, where being in the sun's actually really nice. Being in the shade's a little chilly. But this is a very gray day. Beautiful day. Oh, and you could also put in lots of water features for birds. You could put in owl boxes and bat boxes. So it could be a great wildlife haven. That would be one reason to do a wall, because wildlife dominates everything else. And so I think it's okay to create a supernatural spot. Not supernatural, but super space natural spot. that the kind of wildlife that needs to be protected could be protected. You've got stuff that has trouble living. So you could even imagine including a spot that was because I've been wanting to build a desert for a long time. I could just get truckloads of sand and rocks and put in a microclimate, build in some rock walls to suck in the heat of the sun so it's warmer at night in those spots. And then that would allow me to raise the types of plants within it that normally wouldn't be able to do well in this climate. but the climate may change. And so I can have a living seed bank within this park, and we can collect, like cacti fruits and germinate the seeds that wouldn't germinate on their own. And we could rapidly fill it up with just tons of plants. And even these walls I mentioned, like around here you'll see citrus growing in a walled courtyard very happily. It probably gets watered too. And it's because it's protected. It gets the thermal mass of that wall, and it's protected against the cold wind. And so this entire park itself would be a microclimate. And so we could have things that thrived in there, and that we then can raise them as babies. Part of it could be like a nursery. We raise them as babies in there and then move them out to other places where they can survive, and depending on how climate change goes, maybe thrive or die. I've seen things die, plenty of them. But I have enough successes to be motivated to create special microclimates. And even fungi can be part of this, where since I've changed the nature of that whole area, there's a spot, for example, down there where there's a bunch of coral fungus. Like a couple, I think there's 4 different kinds of coral fungus down there at least. And so we can dig up the ground there, probably during the rainy season, and then put it in holes up here and have relationships with trees that now are there that weren't before, right? Because before it was all pine. So certain mushrooms like pine. Anyway, so there's the whole mycological end of things that could be part of that park as well. And the reason I mention not just doing it as a completely wild park, but including people and animals that people like, is because people will protect what serves them. And so if people are able to camp out in there, or there's little huts in there, then that increases the value of it. If I just plant like the rest of this, there's nowhere to sit even. There's no fire pit, there's no shelter. This does not have value to people as it is. So they're not going to protect it. And we have to figure out a way to have people and the natural environment, or in this case enhanced nature, be together in a beneficial way so that people value it and don't just pave it all. So, this whole area over here, it's a huge area. I don't know how many acres this is. This is probably, let's see, 30 acres? Oh my God. And it's got views of the lake. And so the things I learn over there, in some cases over here, I would also implement. And the idea behind the crowdfunding thing is to document it well enough so that people can mimic it, so that they can see that these results are possible, that we can do it. What I would do over here is pretty different than over there. But that's for reasons. All this got cut in here too a while ago, and it's all growing back real quick. Things want to grow. So, like this was cut over 9 years ago, probably 10 now. And it's growing back a lot with fairly big trees. And this was cut more recently, but we left in a lot of trees as well. And it was actually cut in stages. So that one's not as clear cut. An example. Definitely not clear cut. But it's more apparent example of how the forest restores itself. But we can insert ourselves in that process to have that land be valuable for humans, for wildlife, and for biodiversity. I don't know. Can I crowdfund that? Don't need to get much money if a lot of people like the idea. And I could even make like plan A, plan B, plan C. And, because because this will take years. This is not a short-term project. You don't just install a living park or install a living, biodiverse forest. You have to grow it for a long time and get that biodiversity working to build that system for you. Most of the work will be done by insects and birds and animals, but we need the human aspect as well. Colossal amount of work. Even so. Bye.